I never thought that in the middle of the office, in front of everyone, Wayne would crush my dignity so easily. His hand struck my cheek with such force that the sound echoed throughout the entire conference hall. Silence. Dead silence. 50 employees frozen in place. My ears were ringing and my chest was burning, not from physical pain but from the humiliation that washed over me like ice water. Wayne's face was twisted in rage, as if I were some insect he had accidentally stepped on. You think you can just move on, Jax? You think hiding behind some fake marriage will protect you? His voice was venomous and his words pierced my brain like daggers, embedding themselves deep where I couldn't extract them. Fake marriage? I pressed my lips together, trying not to shake visibly. This marriage was not fake. This marriage was my lifeline, my shield, my secret, and my anchor in a world that had always tried to push me down. But Wayne did not know that. Nobody knew, because the person who had given me his name, who had given me his rights, was the CEO of this company, Morris Calloway, and we had hidden this from everyone, because we both knew that the world would not accept us. Not yet. Maybe not ever. I looked at Wayne, trying to find words, but nothing came out. Behind him standing guards and HR representatives were judging me. Their eyes were filled with questions. Why? What happened? What did I do? But I could not explain anything because telling the truth meant risking my entire life. Risking everything Morris and I had carefully built together over the past 8 months. Wayne was my ex. He had been possessive, controlling, and selfish when we were together. I had left him 6 months ago when he had emotionally drained me to the point where I could barely recognize myself in the mirror. He deserved this slap. I did not. But I could not say anything because if I opened my mouth, everything would be revealed. Our secret would crumble. Morris's career would be jeopardized. My safety would evaporate. Pathetic, Wayne hissed, turning away with disgust dripping from every syllable. As he began to walk away, I held my breath and touched my burning cheek. The sting was real, physical, undeniable. Then, behind me, the double doors opened smoothly. Footsteps echoed throughout the hall, confident, measured, powerful. Every step commanded attention, demanded respect. Everyone out. Morris's voice was calm, dangerously calm. I closed my eyes. Oh no, this was not going to end well. My heart hammered against my ribcage as the reality of the situation sank in. Morris had witnessed everything. He had seen Wayne slap me. He had heard the accusation about the fake marriage. And now, he was here standing behind me like a wall of protection I had never asked for but desperately needed. I could feel the tension in the room multiply tenfold. Employees began shuffling nervously, grabbing their tablets and notebooks, avoiding eye contact with everyone. The air was thick with unspoken questions and barely concealed curiosity. Who was going to get fired? What would happen next? Would there be consequences? Wayne paused mid-step, his shoulders tensing. He turned slightly, just enough to see Morris standing at the entrance, arms crossed, expression unreadable. For a brief moment, Wayne's confidence flickered like a dying light bulb. He opened his mouth as if to say something, then closed it. Smart choice. Morris Calloway was not just a name, he was a presence. 6'2" with a sharp jawline and cold gray eyes that never blinked unnecessarily. He had an aura that dominated any room he had, making even the most confident people second-guess themselves. He was the boardroom king, and everyone knew that challenging him was career suicide. His reputation was built on intelligence, ruthlessness, and an almost supernatural ability to read people. But I knew more than that. I knew how he drank his coffee in the morning. Black, no sugar, always in the same ceramic mug. I knew about the scar on his left shoulder that he never explained, though I had traced it with my fingers countless times in the darkness of our bedroom. I knew that he whispered my name in his sleep when he thought I was already unconscious. But here he was, a stranger, professional, distant. The CEO, Sir Wayne began, attempting to soften his tone, pasting on fake respect like cheap cologne. I said, out. Morris's voice dropped lower, becoming deadlier. He was not giving a warning, he was issuing an order, and everyone recognized the difference. Wayne gulped audibly and left without making eye contact. The remaining employees quickly shuffled out, their footsteps hurried and anxious. The hall emptied within seconds. Just Morris and me remained. Even the echo faded away, only silence and tension lingered, wrapping around us like invisible chains. My heartbeat was so loud I was certain Morris could hear it. I kept my face down, still feeling the sting of that slap radiating across my skin. Morris approached slowly. His footsteps on the carpet were barely audible, but I felt every single one, each step pulling me back from the edge of panic and anchoring me to reality. "Look at me." I raised my eyes. His face showed no obvious emotion. Not anger, not pity, just control. He was always in control, but I could see that spark in his eyes. That controlled fury reserved exclusively for moments when someone hurt me. "Did he hurt you anywhere else?" His voice was measured. Careful. I shook my head. "No, Jax." His tone carried a warning. I knew he could detect lies, especially my lies. We had been together long enough for him to read me like an open book. "Just my cheek," I admitted quietly, avoiding his intense gaze. Morris slowly raised his hand and gently tilted my chin, inspecting the red mark Wayne had left. His touch was warm, safe, but his jaw tightened when he examined the mark closely, his anger simmering just beneath the surface. "He crossed a line. He does not know." I began defending the situation, trying to rationalize. "I do not care what he knows," Morris said firmly, his grip on my chin tightening slightly. "He put his hands on you, in my company, in front of my employees. This will not be forgiven." "You cannot do anything," I whispered, panic rising in my throat. "People will ask questions. If you fire him or punish him without solid reason, everyone will suspect something." Morris's jaw tightened, and for a second I thought he would not listen to me. But then he exhaled slowly, deliberately, forcing himself to calm down. "You think I care more about my reputation than I care about you?" His words settled heavily in my chest, pressing down on something deep inside. I grabbed his wrist, holding on as if it were my only lifeline. "Morris," I said carefully, making sure not to slip up with any term of endearment that might reveal too much. "Please, if you do something now, everything will be exposed. Your reputation, your position, your board, everything will be at risk. And I cannot let that happen." He remained silent, studying my face as if searching for answers written in invisible ink. Then his thumb gently brushed against my injured cheek, so careful, so tender that the contrast was almost painful. "Fine," he finally said. "But this is the last time, Jax. If he tries to approach you again, I will not think about consequences." That night our penthouse was silent, the kind of suffocating silence that makes every thought louder. Morris removed his coat and went directly to the bar, pouring himself whiskey. I sat on the couch, my fingers still trembling slightly. The impact of that slap was still present, not physically anymore, but emotionally. The moment kept replaying in my mind like a broken record. Wayne's hand, the sound, everyone's eyes. "Drink." Morris offered me a glass as he approached. I refused. "I do not need alcohol, I need answers." "Answers?" He smirked bitterly, bringing his glass to his lips. "What answers, Jax? That your ex publicly humiliated you and I just watched? That I could not protect my own husband in my own office? You know we cannot expose our marriage," I said sharply, standing up. "We both decided. This stays private. No one finds out. Not until we are ready." "Not until what?" Morris set his glass on the counter with more force than necessary, stepping closer. "Until when, Jax? Until people continue thinking you are alone. Until losers like Wayne keep harassing you and I can do nothing about it. This is not about Wayne." I raised my voice too. "This is about us surviving in a world that does not accept us. Your board of directors are conservative. Your investors have traditional mindsets. A gay CEO who secretly married his junior employee. This would become a scandal." Morris stopped inches away from me. His face softened slightly, but the tension remained. "I never asked you to hide for the world, Jax," he said quietly. "I married you because I wanted you. Permanently, proudly, openly. But you always get scared." My throat tightened. "I am not scared of reality. Your empire, your legacy. I cannot risk all of that just because I am being selfish." Morris cupped my face with both hands, forcing me to look directly at him. "So you would sacrifice your own respect for my reputation? You want me not to defend you when someone disrespects you?" I looked into his eyes. He was sincere. He was always sincere. But the world was not sincere. The world was cruel and judgmental. I just need more time, I said slowly, almost pleading. Morris kissed me, soft, lingering, desperate. When he pulled back, he pressed his forehead against mine and whispered, "Time is running out, Jax. And I will do anything to protect you no matter what the world says." He kissed me again, and this time I did not resist. Because deep down, I knew this hiding was not sustainable. Something had to break. The rest of the evening passed in a haze. We did not talk much after that. Morris made dinner, something simple, pasta with marinara sauce, while I sat at the kitchen island pretending to read emails on my phone. But I was not reading anything. I was thinking about Wayne's words, about the accusation, about how close we had come to being exposed. "Eat." Morris placed a plate in front of me. I picked up the fork mechanically, twirling pasta without really tasting it. Morris sat across from me, watching with that intense gaze he always had when he was analyzing something. "Talk to me," he said after several minutes of silence. "What do you want me to say? Whatever you are thinking. Whatever is making you look like you are carrying the weight of the entire world." I put down my fork. "What if Wayne is right?" Morris frowned. "About what?" "About me being pathetic. About this marriage being temporary. About you eventually getting bored and—" "Stop." Morris's voice was firm but not harsh. "Do not let his poison get into your head. Wayne is a manipulative person who cannot stand seeing you happy without him. That is all this is. But what if the board finds out? What if investors pull out? What if your company suffers because of me?" Morris stood up and walked around the island. He pulled me off the stool and into his arms, holding me tightly against his chest. I could hear his heartbeat, steady, strong, reassuring. "Listen to me carefully," he said into my hair. "I have built this company from nothing. I have survived hostile takeovers, market crashes, and betrayals from people I trusted. If my company cannot survive me being honest about who I love, then maybe it does not deserve to survive." "You do not mean that." "I absolutely mean that." He pulled back just enough to look at me. "You are not a liability, Jax. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me, and I refuse to treat you like some dirty secret I need to hide." Tears pricked at my eyes, but I blinked them back. "I am just scared." "I know, but you do not have to be scared alone. We face this together. Always." We stood there for a long time, wrapped in each other's arms, the pasta getting cold on the counter. Outside, the city lights twinkled like distant stars. Inside, I felt simultaneously safe and terrified. Safe in Morris's embrace, terrified of what tomorrow might bring. Eventually, we moved to the bedroom. Morris changed into comfortable clothes while I brushed my teeth, staring at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. The red mark on my cheek had faded to a dull pink, but the memory of it was still vivid. I touched it gently, wincing slightly. "Does it still hurt?" Morris appeared behind me, his reflection joining mine in the mirror. "A little." He turned me around and examined it again, his fingers feather light on my skin. Then he leaned down and kissed the spot where Wayne had struck me so gently, so reverently, that fresh tears threatened to spill. "No one will ever hurt you again," he murmured against my skin. "I promise you that." We climbed into bed and Morris pulled me against him, my back to his chest, his arm draped over my waist, holding me securely. This was my favorite position, cocooned in his warmth, feeling protected from the entire world. "Morris?" I whispered into the darkness. Thank you. For everything. For choosing me." His arm tightened around me. "I did not choose you, Jax. I recognized you. There is a difference. Choosing implies there were other options. But there were not. There has only ever been you." I interlaced my fingers with his, bringing his hand up to kiss his knuckles. "I love you. I love you too. Now sleep. Tomorrow is going to be difficult." He was right. Tomorrow would be difficult. Wayne would not let this go. The office gossip would intensify. Questions would multiply. But tonight, in this moment, I had everything I needed. I closed my eyes and let sleep take me, wrapped safely in Morris's arms. Morning arrived too quickly, sunlight streaming through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our penthouse. I woke up to find Morris already dressed in one of his perfectly tailored suits, standing by the window with a coffee cup in hand. He looked like he belonged on the cover of a business magazine, powerful, composed, untouchable. But I knew the man beneath that armor. I knew his vulnerabilities, his fears, his dreams. "Good morning," I mumbled, sitting up and rubbing sleep from my eyes. He turned and his expression softened immediately. "Good morning. How did you sleep?" "Better than I expected." I stretched, feeling my spine crack satisfyingly. "What time is it?" "7:30. I let you sleep in a bit. Your first meeting is not until 9. I groaned. "Right. The marketing review." Morris walked over and sat on the edge of the bed, setting his coffee on the nightstand. "You do not have to go to the office today. I can tell them you are working from home." "No." I shook my head firmly. "That would make things worse. People are already talking. If I hide now, it will just confirm whatever theories they have." "You are probably right." He reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. "But the offer stands. Anytime you need it." I caught his hand and brought it to my lips, kissing his palm. "I know. Thank you." We went through our morning routine, me showering while Morris prepared breakfast, then switching so he could finish getting ready while I ate. It was a choreographed dance we had perfected over months of living together. Every movement was familiar, comfortable, domestic in the best way. But today, everything felt different. There was an underlying tension we could not shake. The secret hung between us like a storm cloud, ready to burst at any moment. "We should leave separately," I said as I adjusted my tie in the hallway mirror. Morris came up behind me, fixing my collar with practiced ease. "I hate that we have to do this." "I know. Me too." He turned me around to face him. "One day, we will leave together. We will arrive at the office together. We will have lunch together without hiding. I promise you that." I managed a small smile. "I am holding you to that promise." He kissed me goodbye long and deep, as if trying to memorize the taste of me. Then he grabbed his briefcase and left first, taking the private elevator down to the garage where his driver waited. I waited 15 minutes before leaving, taking a regular car service instead. The ride to the office felt longer than usual. Every stoplight, every turn, every passing minute amplified my anxiety. What would people say? How would they look at me? Would Wayne cause more problems? When I arrived at Callaway Industries, the lobby was already bustling with morning activity. I kept my head down and headed straight for the elevators, praying I would not run into anyone who wanted to chat. No such luck. "Jax, wait up." I turned to see Rebecca from accounting hurrying toward me, her heels clicking rapidly on the marble floor. She was one of the few people in the office I genuinely liked. Kind, professional, never involved in gossip. "Hey Rebecca," she caught up to me, slightly breathless. "Are you okay? I heard about what happened yesterday. With Wayne." Of course she had heard. Everyone had heard by now. "I am fine. Just a misunderstanding that got out of hand." She studied my face, her eyes landing on the faint mark still visible on my cheek. "That does not look like a misunderstanding. That looks like assaults." I stepped into the elevator, and she followed. "It is complicated." "Complicated how?" "Jax, you should report him to HR. What he did was completely unacceptable." The elevator doors closed, giving us privacy. I leaned against the wall, suddenly exhausted despite the day having barely started. "I appreciate your concern, Rebecca. I really do. But I can handle this." "Can you?" She did not sound convinced. "Because from where I am standing, it looks like you are trying to handle everything alone. You do not have to do that, you know. People care about you here." Her words touched something tender inside me. "Thank you. That means more than you know." The elevator reached her floor first. As the doors opened, she gave me one last concerned look. "My offer for coffee and venting stands. Anytime." "I will remember that." When I finally reached my floor, I went straight to my desk and buried myself in work. Emails, reports, project updates. Anything to keep my mind occupied and away from the whispers I could feel happening around me. Lunchtime came and my phone buzzed with a text from Morris. "My office. 1 p.m. We need to discuss strategy." Strategy. Such a clinical word for what was essentially us trying to figure out how to keep our marriage hidden while Wayne systematically tried to destroy my reputation. At exactly 1 p.m., I knocked on Morris's office door. "Come in." I entered and closed the door behind me. Morris was standing by the window again, hands in his pockets, looking out over the city skyline. "You wanted to see me, sir?" I kept my tone professional, aware that his office might have recording devices for legal purposes. He turned and his professional mask slipped for just a moment. Stop calling me sir when we are alone. It feels wrong. Your office might be monitored. It is not. I sweep it every morning. He walked over to his desk and pulled out a device, showing me the clear reading. See? No bugs. No cameras, just us. I relaxed slightly. Okay, so what is this strategy you mentioned? Morris gestured for me to sit in one of the leather chairs across from his desk. He sat in the other one, not behind his desk but beside me, making this feel less like a business meeting and more like a conversation between equals. Wayne is going to escalate, Morris began without preamble. Yesterday was just the beginning. He is going to try to find evidence of our relationship. He is going to dig into your finances, your living situation, your daily routine. And eventually he is going to find something. So what do? We have 3 options. Morris held up 3 fingers. 1. We go public now on our own terms, before Wayne can weaponize the information. 2. We create a convincing cover story that explains everything without revealing the truth. 3. We let Wayne dig, and I quietly destroy his career from the inside out. I stared at him. Option 3 sounds terrifying and slightly illegal. It would be completely legal. Wayne has been cutting corners in his department for months. I have documentation. I could fire him today if I wanted to, but it would look suspicious given the timing. What about option 2? What kind of cover story could possibly explain everything? Morris leaned back in his chair, thinking, we could say you are house-sitting for a friend. That would explain the penthouse. As for the money, we could create a consulting contract. You marketing insights to the executive team, which justifies the additional income. It was plausible. Almost too plausible. And option 1? I asked quietly. Morris's expression grew serious. Option 1 changes everything. We tell the truth. We face whatever consequences come. Together. The word hung in the air between us, together. The next morning, the office atmosphere was uncomfortable in a way that made my skin crawl. People looked at me differently. Their eyes held curiosity mixed with judgment, studying me like I was some fascinating specimen under a microscope. Some offered smiles, fake, plastic smiles, that barely reached their eyes and felt more like weapons than gestures of kindness. Others completely ignored me as if I had become invisible overnight. Whispers stopped abruptly when I passed by, only to resume the moment I was out of earshot. I had become exactly what I never wanted to be. The center of office gossip, the subject of speculation and rumor. Wayne cornered me in the cafeteria when I was getting coffee. We need to talk, he said, deliberately blocking my path with his body. I gripped my coffee cup tightly, refusing to look at him. We have nothing to discuss, Wayne. You and I are done. We have been done for months. Oh, really? Wayne leaned in closer, his voice dropping to a threatening whisper. You left me for what, Jax? For someone else? For a bigger wallet? For some sugar daddy who can give you things I could not? I remained silent, controlling the anger that threatened to boil over. Responding would only give him the power he craved, the satisfaction of knowing he had gotten under my skin. He continued, a smile playing on his lips like he was enjoying some private joke. I have been doing some digging. Your bank account has been receiving substantial deposits for the past few months. You are wearing designer suits that your salary definitely cannot afford. You are living in a penthouse downtown in one of the most expensive buildings in the city. Where is all of this coming from, Jax? My pulse quickened. This was dangerous territory, a minefield I had to navigate carefully. That is none of your concern, I said firmly, finally meeting his eyes. My finances, my life. None of it is your business anymore. Wayne leaned even closer, his eyes narrowing with malicious intent. It becomes my concern when you cheated on me to run off with some rich benefactor, when you are receiving special treatment at this company, when you are clearly trading favors for— I never cheated on you, Wayne, I hissed, my voice low but fierce. You emotionally tortured me. You controlled every aspect of my life. You weaponized my insecurities and used them against me whenever it suited you. I left you because I deserved better. And I do deserve better than what you gave me. Wayne smiled. Cold, calculated, purely evil in its intention. Better? You actually think someone will marry you, Jax? That someone will take you seriously? You are just a fling. A temporary phase. A toy to play with until they get bored. When that happens, they will throw you back into the gutter, exactly where you belong. He walked away, leaving me trembling, Not from fear but from rage and frustration that I could not fully express. But his words had triggered a deep-seated fear I had been wrestling with during sleepless nights. A fear I had never voiced aloud even to Morris. Would Morris eventually regret this? Was this really forever? Or was Wayne right? I threw my untouched coffee into the trash bin and headed toward the restroom. In the mirror, I saw red-rimmed eyes, an exhausted face, and the fading mark on my cheek that served as a constant reminder. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to ground myself in reality and push away the doubts. My phone buzzed. A message from Morris appeared on the screen. Lunch together? My office. 1 p.m. I smiled. The first genuine smile of that terrible day. I will be there. The morning dragged on endlessly. Every email felt like a chore. Every meeting felt suffocating. I could feel eyes on me constantly. People whispering behind cupped hands, speculating about my relationship with Wayne. About the slap. About everything they did not understand. Rebecca stopped by my desk around 11. "Hey, are you holding up okay?" she asked gently. Genuine concern in her voice. "Managing," I replied, not wanting to burden her with the full truth. "Listen, if you need anything, and I mean anything, just ask. What Wayne did was completely out of line, and everyone knows it." "Thank you, Rebecca. That really means a lot to me." She squeezed my shoulder supportively before heading back to her own desk. At least some people in this building still had basic human decency. When 1 p.m. finally arrived, I grabbed my tablet and headed to Morris's office. His assistant waved me through without question. I was a regular enough visitor that it did not raise suspicions. Morris was standing by the window when I entered, hands clasped behind his back, looking out over the city skyline. He did not turn immediately. "Lock the door," he said quietly. I did as instructed, and only then did he face me. The professional mask he wore throughout the day had completely dissolved, replaced by raw concern and barely contained anger. "How bad was it today?" he asked. "Survivable. Barely." He crossed the room in 3 long strides and pulled me into his arms, holding me tightly against his chest. I melted into the embrace, feeling safe for the first time all morning. Wayne approached me in the cafeteria. I said into his shoulder. "He has been investigating my finances. He knows about the deposits, the penthouse, the clothes. He does not have proof of us yet, but he is getting close." Morris pulled back slightly to look at my face, his jaw tight with suppressed fury. "What did he say exactly?" I recounted the conversation, watching Morris's expression grow darker with every word. When I finished, he was silent for a long moment, clearly processing and calculating his next moves. "He is trying to build a case against you," Morris finally said. "He wants to paint you as someone using relationships for advancement. If he finds concrete evidence linking us, he will weaponize it against both of us. So what do we do?" Morris guided me to the leather couch in his office, sitting beside me rather than across from me. "We accelerate our timeline, the board meeting scheduled for next month. I move it up. I present our relationship on my terms before Wayne can twist it into something ugly. That is risky. Your board is traditional, conservative. They might push back hard. Let them push," Morris said with steel in his voice. "I built this company. I own 51% of the shares. They can complain all they want, but they cannot remove me. And I refuse to keep hiding you like you are something shameful." I took his hand, interlacing our fingers. "I do not want to be the reason your professional relationships suffer. These people have known you for years. They trust you. What if this destroys that trust?" Morris cupped my face with his free hand, forcing me to meet his intense gaze. "Then their trust was conditional and therefore worthless. Real trust, real respect, that does not evaporate because of who I is to love. And if it does, then I do not want their respect anyway." "You make it sound so simple." "It is simple, Jax. Not easy, but simple. I love you. That is the only fact that matters to me." We sat in comfortable silence for a while, just existing in each other's presence. Outside the window, the city continued its relentless pace, oblivious to our private struggles. "There is something else," I said hesitantly. "Wayne said something that got under my skin. He said I was just a temporary phase, that eventually you would get bored and discard me." Morris's expression softened, and he pulled me closer until I was practically sitting in his lap. "Listen to me very carefully. Wayne is a bitter, manipulative person who cannot stand seeing you happy without him. Fitting, he says, is designed to hurt you, to make you doubt yourself and doubt us. Do not give him that power. But what if— No, Morris interrupted gently, but firmly. No what ifs. No doubts. You are not temporary. You are not a phase. You are my husband, my partner, my future. That is not going to change whether we are hiding or whether the whole world knows. I rested my head against his chest, listening to his steady heartbeat. I am scared, I know, but we will face this together. Always together. That afternoon, an emergency board meeting was announced. Sudden and completely unexpected. Morris had asked me to prepare meeting notes since I was part of the current marketing project, and technically my attendance was necessary. Normally I was not an assistant, but the project overlap justified my presence. However, when I entered the conference room with my tablet and files, every eye in the room followed me. Lingering too long, studying too intensely, Wayne was there. As marketing head, his attendance at board meetings was standard, but today his presence felt suffocating. The moment he saw me, he smirked. That confident, planned expression that filled me with dread. The meeting began. Morris chaired with his usual commanding authority. Reports were presented. Budgets were discussed. Everything seemed to be proceeding smoothly. Then Wayne raised his hand, interrupting the finance head mid-presentation. "Sir, if I may point out something important," Wayne said politely, though his eyes gleamed with mischief. Morris nodded, his expression carefully neutral. "Proceed, Mr. Wayne." "Thank you, sir. Recently, there has been some concerning conduct within the company that I cannot ignore." Attention shifted throughout the room. People grew curious, leaning forward in their seats. Morris leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. "Explain." Wayne opened his laptop as if he had prepared an entire presentation. "Some employees have been crossing professional boundaries. Personal favors are influencing project assignments. There is obvious bias in promotions. Preferential treatment is creating an unfair work environment and damaging team morale." Silence fell. My heart thundered in my chest. This was a direct attack, not subtle, not hidden. This was planned and deliberate. "Names?" Morris asked calmly, his pen tapping slowly on the table in a controlled rhythm. Wayne smiled. "I would rather discuss specifics privately, sir, with HR present. But I believe everyone here has noticed certain patterns. Certain individuals receiving opportunities they have not exactly earned through merit alone." He looked directly at me. Everyone noticed. Whispers began circulating around the table. I clenched my fists under the table, nails digging into my palms hard enough to leave marks. Morris slowly stood up. The tension in the room multiplied exponentially. Everyone fell silent, waiting. "Mr. Wayne," Morris addressed him formally, his voice dangerously calm. "If you have accusations to make, present concrete evidence. Otherwise, do not waste valuable boardroom time on vague insinuations and personal vendettas." Wayne's smile faded slightly. "I was simply trying to maintain company integrity." "Were you?" Morris interrupted, stepping around the table with measured steps. "Because from where I stand, you appear to be deflecting attention from your own failures. Your department's performance dropped 17% last quarter. Client retention in your team has reached an all-time low. Perhaps you should focus your energy on addressing those significant issues instead of making baseless accusations." Wayne's face flushed red. "Sir, with all due respect." "Meeting adjourned," Morris announced firmly. "Everyone except Mr. Wayne is dismissed." People quickly began packing up their materials. I started to rise as well, but Morris glanced at me for just a second, barely noticeable to anyone else. But the message was clear. Stay. When everyone had left and only Morris, Wayne, and I remained, Morris locked the door with a decisive click. "Jax, you may leave," Morris said without looking at me. "No," Wayne interrupted boldly. "Let him stay. This concerns him too." Morris turned slowly, his movements predatory. "Excuse me?" Wayne stood up, emboldened by whatever plan he had concocted. "Everyone knows something inappropriate is happening. Jax receives preferential treatment. Projects are handed to him. He has access to resources others do not. And yesterday you publicly defended him when you assaulted him," Morris corrected coldly. "When you physically harmed my employee in my office, in front of witnesses. That was not a defense, that was a consequence." Wayne laughed bitterly, the sound harsh and grating. "Consequence? Where is my consequence then? Oh wait, I know why there is none. Because he is sleeping with someone powerful, is he not? And you are protecting him. The silence that followed was deafening. Morris stepped closer to Wayne, invading his personal space in a way that made Wayne instinctively step backward. Keep your conspiracy theories inside your own mind. If you speak about Jax again, professionally or personally, I will personally ensure that no one in this industry will hire you. Do you understand me? Wayne looked at me, then at Morris, then back at me. His eyes were wild with rage and humiliation. You will both regret this. I promise you that. He stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Morris turned to me, exhaling slowly as he ran a hand through his perfectly styled hair. He is trying to destroy you, Jax. And this is just the beginning of his campaign. I remained silent, processing everything that had just transpired. But I knew one thing with absolute certainty. Wayne was not going to give up. Morris took my hand when we were alone, his thumb tracing circles on my knuckles. Let me protect you. Publicly. Legally. We should tell everyone the truth. Not yet, I whispered, squeezing his hand tightly. Please, Morris. Not yet. Let me try to handle this my way first. But deep down I knew the truth. This situation was spiraling out of control, and soon we would not have a choice. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur. I tried to focus on work, but my mind kept replaying the confrontation. Wayne's accusations. Morris's defense. The looks on the board members' faces. By the time I left the office that evening, I was exhausted. Mentally, emotionally, physically. The weight of keeping this secret was becoming unbearable. Morris texted me when I was in the car. Come home. We need to talk about next steps. Home. Our penthouse. The one place where we could be completely ourselves without fear or pretense. On my way, as the car navigated through rush hour traffic, I stared out the window at the city lights beginning to illuminate the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, Wayne was plotting his next move. Somewhere out there, people were gossiping about me, making assumptions, drawing conclusions. But somewhere in that same city, Morris was waiting for me. And that thought alone made everything else bearable. When I finally arrived at the penthouse, Morris was already there, jacket removed, tie loosened, looking more human and less like the untouchable CEO everyone feared. We need a new strategy, he said as I walked through the door. Wayne is not going to stop until he gets what he wants. What does he want? Morris looked at me with an expression I could not quite read. Revenge. He wants revenge for you leaving him, for you being happy without him, for you moving on while he stayed stuck in his bitterness. So what do we do? Morris pulled me close, wrapping his arms around me. We fight back. Together. Friday evening brought the company's annual gala, the biggest event of the year. Everyone was invited, employees, clients, investors, media representatives. I did not want to attend. Too much exposure, too much risk, too many opportunities for everything to fall apart. But Morris had insisted, his tone soft yet unyielding. You are my partner, here and everywhere else. Hiding will not make this easier, Jax. The gala was held at the Grand Royale Hotel. Everything was elegant. Crystal chandeliers sparkling under carefully positioned lights, champagne flowing freely, classical music playing softly in the background. Everyone wore their finest formal attire, transformed into polished versions of themselves. I stood awkwardly in a corner near the balcony, nursing a ginger ale because alcohol would only make my nerves worse. Morris was on stage, delivering the welcome speech. Confident, charismatic, powerful. Every eye in the room was fixed on him, captivated by his presence. And me? I was just a shadow in his brightness, invisible to most of these people. Enjoying the party? Wayne's voice suddenly invaded my space, making me flinch involuntarily. I turned to find him holding champagne, that familiar smirk plastered across his face. This is not your crowd, Jax. These are billionaires and elite society members. You are just a guest here. An uninvited guest crashing a party you do not belong at. I ignored him, turning away and hoping he would take the hint. He moved closer, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. Where is your sugar daddy tonight? Oh right. He is on stage giving speeches. Busy with his real responsibilities. No time for distractions like you. Leave me alone, Wayne, I said flatly, keeping my voice level. Why does hearing the truth make you uncomfortable? Just admit it, Jax. You are sleeping with someone for power, for money, for security. You are nothing but— I pushed him, not hard, but enough to create physical space between us. Shut up, Wayne. Just shut up. Suddenly, Wayne raised his voice loud enough that nearby guests turned to look, their conversations stopping abruptly as attention shifted toward us. Why do you not just admit it, Jax? You are sleeping with someone for money, for status. You are nothing but a prostitute in expensive clothes. Enough. Morris's voice cut through the hall like thunder, deep, commanding, absolute in its authority. He was walking directly toward us from the stage, his strides long and purposeful, his expression controlled but radiating deadly intent. Every eye in the room turned to watch the unfolding drama. The music slowed. Conversations ceased. Cameras began subtly turning in our direction. Morris came to stand directly in front of me and without any hesitation, took my hand firmly in his. Not hiding, not hesitating. The gesture was public, clear, and completely deliberate. Jax is not sleeping with anyone for money, Morris announced calmly, his voice carrying across the now silent hall. He is my husband. Gasps echoed throughout the space. Loud, shocked, disbelieving. Camera flashes began immediately, bright and blinding. Whispers exploded like wildfire spreading through dry grass. Wayne's face cycled through emotions, pale, then flushed red, then pale again. What did you just say? Morris continued, his voice growing louder and clearer. We have been married for 8 months, legally and legitimately, and if anyone at all disrespects him again, questions his integrity or makes baseless accusations, they will answer to me. Personally, professionally, legally. Complete chaos erupted. Phones came out. Videos started recording. Investors murmured among themselves. Employees stood frozen in shock. Morris turned to me, ignoring everyone else in the room as if we were the only 2 people who mattered. He cupped my face gently, his thumb brushing across my cheek, the same cheek Wayne had slapped days earlier. No more hiding, Jax, he whispered. His words meant only for me despite the crowd surrounding us. No more fear. Tears filled my eyes. Relief, fear, love, everything mixing together in an overwhelming flood of emotion. Morris, your career, your board, they will never accept this. I do not care what they accept, he said firmly, his voice unwavering. I love you, Jax. Publicly, proudly, forever. And anyone who has a problem with that can deal with me directly. Then he kissed me. Right there, in front of everyone. Cameras flashing rapidly. Crowd gasping collectively. Music stopping completely. He kissed me like I was the only person existing in that massive room. Like nothing else in the world mattered. Like we were not standing in front of 300 people who held the power to destroy everything we had built. When he pulled back, he pressed his forehead against mine and smiled. That rare, genuine smile reserved exclusively for private moments between us. Let them talk, he whispered. Let them judge. Let them speculate. I will never make you hide again. In that moment, looking into his eyes filled with love, determination, and unwavering support, I felt something I had never experienced before. Freedom. Complete and absolute freedom. Wayne had disappeared somewhere into the crowd, likely fleeing from the humiliation. Investors and board members stood in shocked clusters. Employees were divided, some smiling supportively, others frowning with disapproval. But Morris and I, we stood together, united. Morris took my hand again, this time addressing the entire room. I understand this announcement may come as a surprise to many of you, but I want to be absolutely clear. My personal life does not affect my muffin capabilities. Callaway Industries will continue operating at the highest level of excellence. Anyone uncomfortable with my marriage is welcome to voice their concerns directly to me. I promise you will receive honest answers. Some people began clapping tentatively at first, then with growing enthusiasm. Rebecca was among them, beaming with genuine happiness. Several younger employees joined in. Even a few investors nodded approvingly, but not everyone was pleased. I could see disapproving faces, hear critical whispers, sense the judgment emanating from certain corners of the room. Morris seemed completely unfazed. He kept his arm around my waist, anchoring me to his side as if declaring to everyone present that I belonged there. The music resumed playing. Conversations gradually restarted. though the topic had clearly shifted to focus entirely on us. People approached tentatively, some offering congratulations, others asking questions, a few making excuses to leave early. Through it all, Morris remained steady beside me, handling every interaction with grace and confidence. As the evening wore on, I began to relax. The initial shock was fading, the secret was finally out. And somehow, against all odds, the world had not ended. Later, as we stood on the balcony overlooking the city lights, Morris pulled me close. "How are you feeling?" he asked softly. "Terrified, relieved, happy, everything all at once." "Good. That means you are processing this healthily." He kissed the top of my head. "Tomorrow will bring new challenges, but tonight, we celebrate our freedom." I looked up at him, this incredible man, who had chosen me despite everything. I love you too, always." And standing there, wrapped in his arms under the stars, I finally believed it. We were